evening, everybody. Thanks so much for listening. We are the Real Pineapple. This is Hunter here. I'm here with Scott. Scott, how you doing, sir?
I'm always great when I get to have my three favorite co-hosts to podcast with.
Wait, you say three favorite co-hosts?
Well, including myself.
Okay, I was like...
I always talk about myself.
Scott is one of his own favorite co-hosts.
Yeah, I count myself as one of my favorite co-hosts.
You know what? I respect that. I appreciate the honesty. And back from Ireland or wherever he's been, Colin, welcome back, sir.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back.
You've been a lot of places recently. Just been like seeing. So I just gotta ask real quick, Ed Sheeran, how was he?
Ed Sheeran's awesome. Thanks for asking. I'll just say real quick. Ed Sheeran, probably the most impressive thing about that concert is that he doesn't have a band. He completely does his concert by himself. He uses a repeater on the floor, so he'll start making a beat, he'll start making a riff, and he does it all live on the stage. Very impressive.
What?
That dude's awesome. For every single song he does, it's amazing. Very impressive.
God, I want to see Ed Sheeran so bad. But the reason why I brought that up is because, Ed Sheeran is awesome and positive and love the dude. And we're talking about something that I felt quite the opposite about. We're talking about the Glass House is what this is called.
Glass Castle.
Castle. Shit, I keep getting that confused. I keep getting confused with that Libby Sobieski movie. So I actually texted you guys. I don't know if you a couple days ago, and I said, hey, we're reviewing, this, and then we're reviewing The Glass House, and I had to think about it for half a minute. I was like, God damn it, it's the wrong movie. That's a Libby Sobieski movie, kids, that you don't need to see. The Glass Castle. Thank you, Scott. So I'm gonna be honest with you guys. So I saw this a couple hours ago. I've had a couple hours to think on it. And if you told me 3 days ago that I would like The Boss Baby more than a movie with Brie Larson, I would call you a goddamn liar. And I just thought this sucked. I'm going to be straight up. I thought this was bad. Scott, kind of your thoughts?
Thoughts on the whole movie?
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it. I think that there are definitely some things to work on, but Woody Harrelson definitely stole the show for me personally. Just murdered this thing. But I mean, there was definitely I feel like the ending and resolution to it was, I don't know. We were talking off mic how it's kind of hard to fully criticize a memoir or true story or something like that, and how I was like, well, this is boring or this is predictable. It's like, well, I mean, they do dramatize it a lot, but I mean, it's like, okay, I guess these people may or may not have lived these lives, and I can't be super critical of that because it's just the way that it happened. But yeah, I think the direction that it went, I enjoyed. I feel like the acting was probably the highlight for me personally, not necessarily the plot, but I think I was definitely impressed by the casting.
All right, Colin, kind of your thoughts, sir.
Yeah, it's definitely that kind of indie vibe to a personal story that goes on within a family. It kind of reminded me out of the gates of Captain Fantastic, in that it changed from that. It changed from that a lot. But initially, when I was watching, I was like, "Oh, okay, it's kind of that indie kind of family movie where you have a very, anti-normal family going on here with Woody Harrelson. You think they're all just eccentrics. A lot of the initial scenes where Woody Harrelson's the father of the young kids. He's very eccentric. He's teaching him all these, fantastical ideas about how the world works. It's, against the norm type of thing. But yeah, I mean, I think, like Scott was saying, we talked about off mic. It's hard to criticize the story too much because it's all, a memoir. Some, like Scott said, it's dramatized, but how much did not happen. I thought the acting performances were pretty good, at least by Woody Harrelson. I thought he was really, really good. He's playing an alcoholic father to his family here. Brie Larson is playing the character of Jeanette, where she's getting engaged to this man who's rich, stockbroker type in
Schmidt.
present day. Yeah, Schmidt.
Love Schmidt.
Yeah, and it's focusing on her just as much as it's focusing on Woody Harrelson's character Rex, the father of Brie Larson's character Jeanette. And I thought the young girl playing Brie Larson's character's younger self, she did
Chandler Head is who you're thinking of.
Chandler Head did a pretty good job doing that. So, I mean, it's a lot of different scenes. It definitely feels like a book put on the big screen, where you have all these different chapters that are probably being summarized, some more condensed than others. It probably works better as a book. But I don't know. For the most part, I didn't find myself hating it. I think, if anything, I was interested in some of the characters and how they developed. I'm interested to hear why you thought it was so terrible, Hunter.
Yeah. So yeah. Let me jump in here. So, the movie jumps back and forth between Jeanette, grown up, played by Brie Larson, as you mentioned. I thought she was marvelous, because she's Captain Marvel, but I thought she was actually really good in this. I hope I got an eye roll out of one of you, but no, she was really
You're the
good
biggest
in
eye
this.
roll.
Oh, okay, good, happy. That's what I'm shooting for, baby. But Brie Larson, I love her. I honestly, I just adore her so much, and seeing her give another great performance. I mean, of course, being in Room. I actually really liked her in Kong Skull Island that she was just in. I think she's just an incredible actress, and so seeing her work off of Woody Harrelson, that was really cool to watch. And Woody Harrelson, between this and Edge of 17 and War for the Planet of the Apes, he's as Colin would say, he's crushing it right now. He's just
Crushing it, bro.
Just crushing it. I fucking love it, and he's in the new Han Solo movie next year. So I mean, it's good to be Woody Harrelson right now. Huge fan of his, and the reason I hated this movie so much, Colin, is because the movie was trying to manipulate the audience, and the way I mean that is Captain Fantastic. Great movie. I remember you were a really big fan of that, and Viggo Mortensen got a fucking Oscar nomination for it. It's an incredibly well done film, and what I thought about Captain Fantastic is that I thought the writing was better, and I never felt like they were romanticizing Viggo Mortensen. Like, I really felt they gave the audience more of a kind of a free reign to kind of determine if he thought he was being negligent to his kids, or if he was kind of being, like that Burning Man stereotype. You know what I mean? I felt with this movie, whether it was like the music cues, especially in the one scene where he's telling Jeanette, saying, hey, for Christmas, pick out one of the stars, and and that's your star, that's your Christmas present. And I just thought, wow, that's fucking sad. And the music is like, ha da da, like, isn't that cute? And I was like, no, that's fucking depressing that he can't afford to give his kids gifts, so pick a star, fuck it. I really hate how the movie kept doing that. And there's a lot of dark material here, and I felt like the movie played it so Lifetime. Like, they could have really dug into those darker elements, because that's the most interesting stuff in the movie. And the movie just kind of glosses over it, They touch on the fact Rex was more than likely sexually abused by his mom, and they just brush over it. It's just it's brought up in one scene, but is brought up, I think, one other time. There's a point Jeanette saves all this money up and to move out, and Rex steals it, and they don't ever say what he does with it, which would have probably been a little more effective, but whatever.
Well, I think the assumption is that he drank it away.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty obvious. He drank it.
I mean, that's what I thought, but I don't know. So I don't know, man. I was sitting there watching the movie, and I just really felt, and even early on, where Jeanette burns herself, which was really fucking sad, by the way. She burns herself trying to make hot dogs, and her, a little American Girl dress gets caught and burns her stomach up, which was crazy. So she's laid up in the hospital. They send in her brother Brian to go ahead and basically like have a panic attack on the floor or seizure or whatever, and they sneak her out of the hospital. It's like, god damn, this isn't funny. This is like, these are
okay.
people.
Well, this so like, you remember Little Miss Sunshine? That happens.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like this movie sort of reminds me of that in a way of like the whole family dynamic kind of thing. And that was like kind of like lighthearted and like cute that they were doing that. It wasn't. I feel like it wasn't viewed as like sad that they couldn't afford like certain stuff, or like you couldn't, like they were trying to get the dead. I guess it was a dead body was what it was. They didn't have money for that. You know what I mean? Like, it felt like.
I mean, I get what you're saying, man, but at the same time, the movie really asks you at the end, and full spoilers because I have to give this away. With what Woody Harrelson's Rex has done, he's been an alcoholic. They don't come out and say he abused the mom, but he's at least verbally abusing her. And there's this scene where she almost falls out of a window, and like they pull her back in, and she's like, "Get off me, get off me!" And then like both get turned on by it, and like their kids are in the room. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I just like shit like that just kept happening. I'm sitting there thinking, this isn't funny. This is fucking morbid fucking shit, and you're playing it off like, oh, isn't it cool how whimsical the family is? And even though that the dad is drinking all their money away, like, isn't it great how he gives them hope so they keep following him? I'm like, no, it's really not. Social services needs to wipe in and take all these kids fucking away. And I really felt like the movie, if it played this, I think the way it should have been played, as more of a drama, like, hey, this is these kids are in dire straits and they need to get away from him. But the movie,
they felt pretty dire to me.
No,
like,
see,
they were like starving, and they were like, "Dad, you need to go get us some food." It didn't. Yeah. To me, it didn't feel real whimsical.
There was also a really intense confrontation between Brie Larson's character when she was a daughter, and she was sitting staring at her mother, and she was like, "You have to leave him." Like, I don't think there was anything whimsical about that. Yeah, I mean,
see, I don't think
that was super intense, and I think it's hard to say that, like, you know, that situation wouldn't happen in real life. I feel like that situation happened in real life. I think this is actually a memoir where that happened.
I do get what you're saying about like the lifetimey. Like, you could feel them playing into emotion. Like, I would agree with you there. Like, but I don't think that it was like over, like they were trying to be too whimsical about it. It all felt like really, and I think there was a ton of them. It was a super emotional movie. I would disagree with you about the stars part. Like, I think the fact that that they were making this little bit of joy out of this horrible, just shitty situation, that like, even when he first said it, she's like, no, that's stupid. And then it's like, was kind of their bond that she would recall later in the movie. But yeah, I could see where it's hard to toe that line between it being gimmicky and you trying to like really pander to the audience. But it was a super emotional movie, and like we said before, I just don't know. It's like Colin was saying, it happened, so it's like you can only stretch it so far.
Well, you know what they did? They should have done a better job, because all I was sitting there thinking is, okay, fine, the stars thing, I could maybe meet you halfway, but then talking about when she gets burned, and which was the parents' fucking fault, by the way. Like, oh, hey, honey, go cook by yourself. You know what you're doing. Like, what shitty parenting. But when her stomach is burned, he like removes the bandages. I'm like, what the fuck are you, like, it's shit like that keeps happening, and the movie tries to kind of play it up like, oh, he's against the man, and he's a rebel without a cause in this case. And isn't it cool how he's so off the beaten path? Some of this shit is dangerous, and the movie doesn't, I felt like, never really called him on it until the very end, but then they immediately negate that by saying, hey, he wasn't always there, but, they had a journey together, and that's what matters in the end. And
yeah, I agree with you on that point.
And I think this movie really tries to make Jeanette feel bad about being successful, which is another thing that just pissed me off. Schmidt, as we said, Max Greenfield is in this, and David seems like a cool dude, and then they just kind of flip him because they have to break them up because movie. And even the flip when they turn it with David's character, I went, okay, that's a little hard to buy. And they make her really feel bad just because she has, nice things, and I really kind of hate that very countrified, like almost like mystical Negro thing that a lot of movies do.
I think that just means that's just how they were. I don't think it was. I felt like they were represented that way because like they were shitty parents. Like I think that was the point they were trying to get across. And you're saying that they're shitty, but because I think they are. Like I think they represented that well. You know what I mean?
See, I don't think they do. I personally think that they show like parts of them being shitty, but at the same time, I think that they play up so much of that. Hey, every day's a new adventure aspect to them that they kind of like. I think they're trying to nerf how bad parents they are. To be totally honest with you, and by the time it gets to the end of the movie, when Rex, Woody Harrelson's character, gets sick, how the movie kind of goes like, hey, they had these experiences together. They bring up the fact that he let her pet a cheetah. I'm like, Jesus Christ, seriously? And like the parents were freaking out. He's like, oh yeah, I remember those stuck-up parents got all mad at me about it. I'm like, yes, because your child was petting a cheetah. Any parent would say.
That's definitely what I'll agree with you on, is that last part where it just ties it up, where it's like, oh, none of this happened, and he wasn't like an abuser / alcoholic who basically starved his kids. That got me a little bit riled up. That was like, it wrapped it up so quickly at the end. He said, he didn't even say I'm sorry. He was just like,
no.
Well, I wasn't always the best example to you. And she's like, no, I'm glad that you raised me the way you did. And it's like, that was a cheap tie up.
Dude, it was okay. And honestly, that feeling is why I felt the whole movie. I think the kibosh on it for me, and we'll get to our final thoughts here, is when at the there's a point where they go to a bar and they're running this hustle like, oh, I don't know how to play pool, and so there's this dude who's clearly feeling Jeanette, Brie Larson's character, and she tells him, hey, I'm moving to New York. And of course Rex doesn't know, Woody Harrelson's character. And so this dumbass is like, here's to you going to New York. I'm like, you dumb mother. Like I was mad at her for even telling the drunk bastard, but then for him to just be like, oh, here's to New York. It's like, you dick. And so Woody Harrelson's Rex, he flips out, and the guy that's hitting on her is like, hey, why don't you come upstairs and listen to some records? And she says, I can't, I have to go. And Rex, like an asshole, like, oh, she's a big city girl now, she can defend herself. I'm like, you fucking piece of fucking shit. Like, this guy could try to rape her, which he does try to, and you're like, oh, she's a city girl, she's leaving me, fuck it. It's just, and the movie just does not check him, I think, nearly enough on all this shit. And it really pissed me off. That was kind of the ceiling for me, but, I'm getting mad just thinking about it again. Colin, sorry. Go ahead, kind of wrap up here and give your final thoughts, sir.
So I agree with what you're saying, that the idea that the movie was not, vilifying this character of Woody Harrelson enough. I think that's probably fair. I wasn't getting those same feelings that you were getting while like the main chunk of the movie was going on. I actually was feeling that the movie was doing a pretty good job of creating this human element of how he was being seen by these children. Like children have a way, I think, of masking what's really going on, or they feel like they can kind of ignore things or shove things down. So I think the way it was portrayed was how it was remembered. I don't think it was trying to glorify this character in any way, where it was trying to say like, look how awesome Woody Harrelson is, being this drunk asshole dad, but everything, is going to work out fine at the end. I don't like how it ended at the end, where Brie Larson's character was totally, kind of forgiving and he got like the biggest free pass of all time.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so I understand the frustration and the anger that can come from that. And I get that, and I think this movie probably does not kind of tie itself up in a very good way. During the bulk of the movie, I don't know. I was kind of like interested the whole time to see what this crazy asshole was going to do next. I never thought that they were kind of like romanticizing it so much. I thought Woody Harrelson was doing a great job of just being this like awful dad, and I thought it was really emotional, kind of intense movie. But I can't disagree with you with how how the message is portrayed at the end of the movie. How it's all good, type of thing.
Yeah.
So Scott, I mean, yeah. What are you thinking here before we get to grades?
Yeah. For sure. I definitely was under the it was. I would say it was a pretty more of an emotional movie for me. It's like super raw, and like it didn't. I didn't feel like it tried to romanticize a lot of the character flaws that Rex had. I think it was just trying to amplify it and to show what a horrible situation that they were stuck in. Although there was some things that bothered me. I think it was a little bit too slow moving, and like we talked about off mic, like it felt a little bit predictable. I sort of knew that you had a feeling, one, like I had a strong feeling once they showed that piggy bank that Rex was going to try to steal it, and then that like at the end things were going to get kind of resolved, because that's just kind of the way that the movie felt like it was going. And I don't know, like in like Colin, you made a great point about it feeling like a book, and it definitely did. It felt like condensed chapters, and not a ton of action. This is not action in the traditional sense, but not a lot of movement, kind of like set by set, scene by scene kind of deal. And I don't know, kind of a weird kind of predictable way. But I thought it was, I was definitely sucked in the whole time. I was just enthralled with Woody Harrelson and kind of the drunk / sober / drunk / abusive father / loving father. I think that was the main thing. I think he was really the point of this movie, was to show how complicated this man was. And obviously he can't be in any way praised for whatever. He was good a few times, because I can all agree about the ending on that one. But I think just showing the complexity of his character, and that, yeah, he was a drunk asshole, but every once in a while he had his moments, and that I think it's more complicated than just labeling somebody one thing, and just really being able to analyze it.
All right, so
You want me to go grade?
Yeah, go and give a grade.
I enjoy this movie. It made me feel, but it was too slow, and I didn't like the ending. Got to give this one. I gave this one a B+.
Sorry, a B's and boy plus?
Yeah, B+.
I'll jump in there. I'll jump in there because I agree a little bit more with Scott than Hunter, and
Fair
then
enough.
Hunter, I'll give you your soapbox to tell us why we're so wrong. But
He's gonna take it no matter what.
yeah. I think what I came away from the movie thinking was this movie, it was Woody Harrelson's character of Rex seen through the eyes of Brie Larson's character Jeanette through her whole life. Like, the whole movie was about Jeanette and her dad Rex. I think the way it starts, like one of the big traumatic scenes at the start was Rex throwing Jeanette in the pool, sink or swim style, when he was drunk. She knew right then, like, you're a monster, you tried to kill me, and then he's immediately, being like, no, it's for your own good type of thing. And she totally doesn't buy it, but, like, I think, like, the tone of the movie starts there, where, like, she knows she doesn't buy it, but, like, he's so drunk, and he's holding her tight, and it's just like, all right, I guess I just have to deal with this for the rest of my life. And the reason I say that it's, like, Rex through the eyes of Jeanette is because, like further on, there's this giant fight that breaks out between Rex and his wife, their mother, that ends up with the mother being thrown out the window. But before that happens, like when it really starts escalating, like Jeanette is like immediately very, feels very responsible to get the kids out of the house. Hey, let's go play jump rope real quick. So I feel like part of when they're like, making light of what's happening, I think it's like through the eyes of this character Jeanette, where she's trying to like mask the real horror and awfulness that's going on for the sake of her younger siblings. That was the impression I got, at least, for a lot of it. But there's no excuse for what ends up happening at the end, where she's just like, no, you know what, you were fine. Like, so overall, like, I was interested. I was very like gripped to the screen for a lot of it. I liked it. I liked the act. I love Woody Harrelson. I really do. I just think he's an awesome actor. Like True Detective, like this. Everything he's been doing recently has been pretty interesting to watch. He's very good. I don't know. Yeah, I'm probably on the B- side. Like I really didn't think it was like that bad. So I was probably in a B- camp. Hunter, go ahead.
Let's hear it.
All right. So I'll be honest with you. This was in go fuck yourself territory for a while. I was just sitting there getting more and more pissed off the more I thought about it. But what saved this movie for me were the kids. I want to give Ella Anderson. She played young Jeanette. Chandler Head played the youngest version, Jeanette. Charlie Shotwell and Ian Armitage, they played Brian's. Pretty much any of the kid actors in this I thought were amazing, because they probably focused on the kids at their youngest more than anything, I would say. I mean, it's maybe a 60-40 split. Would you guys agree with that? Like, it's more on the kids than it is them as adults. Does that make sense?
For sure.
Yeah, probably 60-40, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, these kid actors really have to carry a lot of this, and they do. They bounce off of not Brie Larson, off of Woody Harrelson, and oh yeah, we forgot to mention that Naomi Watts is the mom, and she's a painter. That's pretty much all they ever tell you about her, which I thought was. Another reason why I was not a fan of it, but the movie just I never felt like, to me, it called Rex on his bullshit. Colin put it perfectly. At the end, the movie just goes like, "Hey man, you're all good." Like, yay, you didn't feed your kids. There's a point where you see the kids eating sugar and butter mixed together. I went, Jesus Christ, okay, like, no, we're just gonna let this slide. I never felt.
So what would your advice be then? Like, what do you mean they let it slide? How would they not let it slide?
I really thought that, like I said, this is like Captain Fantastic if it was written by an asshole, because it really doesn't let I feel like it manipulated the audience so much, especially when it came to portrayal of Rex's character, because they do that whole, hey, this is about so. When they're out and look at the stars, he gives her a knife and he goes like, "Hey, this is the demon hunter knife," or something to that effect. And so then the violins tune up and it's like, oh, this is such a sweet moment. And all I was sitting there thinking is, why would you give your daughter what looks like a fucking knife you would use to kill a bear? Like, don't give this to your 6-year-old.
Bad
like,
mood when you walked into this movie?
No, I wasn't. I walked into it ready to love it. But god damn it, don't insult me. And I just felt like that's what this movie did over and over again. And it's like, oh, isn't that cute? It's like, no, it's really fucking not. And I hate how the movie
don't you think they're trying to highlight the different sides to this man? Like, don't you feel like they're just trying to say, like, okay, yeah, here's when he's a drunk asshole. Here's when he's like trying to like comfort his daughter. Here's when he's trying to like drown her. Like, I feel like they're just showing the different sides of him. No,
I didn't feel that. I thought that they were just finding other ways to make me not like Woody Harrelson. I mean, to the credit of the movie, I left that theater thinking, God, God, every villain needs to be like Rex, because I fucking hated Rex by the time I left the theater.
Woody Harrelson will make a great villain.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's amazing. Like, yeah, we just talked about War for the Planet of the Apes. We love that movie. Woody Harrelson's an incredible actor, but the way this movie is portraying itself, like it's this, feel good dramedy, which is what I felt like a lot like the movie really sets itself up as. It's really not. It's a really fucking disturbing look at a character that the movie doesn't take as seriously as it should. It just really pissed me off, to be honest with you. So, like I said, this was in fuck you territory, go fuck yourself territory for a while, but those kids brought it up a little for me. I can't get it to even average, so I'm gonna give this a D plus. I just left the theater angry, man, and I thought the kind of my final straw is with David Max Greenfield's Schmidt's character. The way they break them up is so kind of all right. See ya. Like it, like they don't ever really even officially break up. Brie Larson says, "I have to go," and he says, "Go," and then the next time you see her in a scene, like however long later, they've just split up. Just no, like,
that to me is like the book aspect. It was like, oh well, next chapter they're not together anymore, and it's like, yeah. Oh, okay.
yeah, but it's like it's a movie, so you need to add shit in. Like they could have at least said 1 month later, so I can at least know there's a time jump, so I can piece it
later.
Yeah, like that's the way things are. But I just but kudos if you got that reference. But yeah, I hated this, man. I really did. And the more I'm thinking about it, the more I want to drop my grade. So I'm gonna stick on my D plus though. This might be low on my list for worst of. I don't know. I mean, we got a couple months. I'm sure Boo 2 will knock it. We'll keep it safe from being in the top 10. But I really left the theater very unhappy after this. Thank God they showed the trailer for Star Wars. Cause
you're not going to like my Detroit review then.
I can't wait now.
I'm just trying to rally up.
All right, we'll see.
But you hated that one, right?
Yeah.
God damn it.
It definitely wasn't as high as a C.
Yeah.
So that would definitely be like borderline bottom 10 for me, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so.
Just a little sneak peek for you, for all the listeners out there, if you want to listen to my Detroit review.
I swear to God, if you hate Detroit, I'm going to be very upset with you. But guys, so this weekend we're going to review The Hitman's Bodyguard, which I'm really excited for.
They've been pushing that so hard.
They have. They're pushing the shit out of The Hitman's Bodyguard. Hey, you know what? Ryan Reynolds' life wasn't bad, so maybe he's turning it around.
This movie is everything you expect it's going to be.
I hope so. Well, it's got Salma Hayek in it, so that's always great.
I want to see Logan Lucky.
I do want to see that too. That comes out 21st, I believe. I think that comes out next week, actually.
Comes out the 18th, same day as Hitman's Bodyguard.
Oh, boom! There you go. This weekend, so we'll have reviews up for Lucky. That's not Lucky Louie. That's a Louis C.K. show. We'll review Lucky Louie. Yeah, I do love that show. But what's that one called? That's a Logan.
Logan Lucky. Yeah.
Logan Lucky. Thank you. Yeah, introducing Daniel Craig.
Introducing Daniel Craig.
So we'll have a review up for that, and we'll have a review up for Hitman's Bodyguard. If Ingrid Goes West comes to Reno this weekend, we'll have a review up for that too. But I'm finding no listings, even though I really want to fucking see that. So, and I will have at least the first episode for the Defenders reviewed, because I've been waiting. Defenders. Oh, Marvel, make me so happy. But guys, let us know what you thought about the Glass Castle. I almost called it the Glass House again. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. You can follow us here on SoundCloud at The Real Pineapple. Follow us on iTunes, Google Play now, as of a week ago, and Podbean at The Real Pineapple. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. Well done, Colin. You can follow Colin on Twitter at
The Real Neil.
And you can follow Scott on Twitter at
I'm the first.
And you can like us on Facebook at The Real Pineapple. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon.
Peace.
Peace.